The Department of Health and Human Services, the Social Security Administration, we have a program called National New Hire Reporting, and representing that program are Olivia Golden and Sonia Evans. Please.
My name is Sonia Evans, and I want to tell you how new hire reporting has affected my life and those of my 9-year-old twin boys, Jonathan and Jesse. Until recently, the boys received no support from their father. In fact, I was unable to get a support order established until they were almost 4 years old, because the State Child Support Agency was unable to find him. Once the order was established, he continued to move from state to state, making it impossible to collect child support from him. Even after hiring a private collection agency who promised to find him, the kids received no support. Then one day, a child support check came in the mail. When I called my state caseworker, to my surprise, I found out that it was not the private company that was successful in collecting. Instead, the worker said the name of the boys' father's employer had popped up on the screen due to employer new hire reporting. For almost 9 years, I supported my children alone. However, I have always felt that it was their father's responsibility to contribute to their care and well-being. For the past 5 months, child support has been deducted from his paycheck and sent to me. Receiving regular support has given me hope that I will someday reach my new dream, to buy a house for me and the boys. What's more, now I have confidence that if their father moves again, there is a national system to track him down so he can't run from his obligation. I am glad to know that because of the new hire reporting program, many other parents will not have to go through what I did just to get support for their children.
Like Sonia, many custodial parents turn to state child support agencies for help when non-custodial parents disappear or stop paying child support. While state caseworkers do the best they can with the tools available, in fiscal year 97, only half of the more than $16 billion owed in current support was collected. Today, that is changing as a result of the National New Hire Reporting Program. Caseworkers now can get up-to-date information about a missing parent from the National Directory of New Hires as soon as the individual gets a job. Under the program, all employers report W-4 data on new hires to a state agency, which forwards the information to the National Directory. Before, it could take up to a year to obtain employment information. By then, the parent might well have changed jobs or moved. Today, states can use the New Hire Directory to find non-custodial parents even if they relocate or change employers, so mothers like Sonia can count on reliable financial support for their children. Launched in just 1 year and within budget, the program has already produced dramatic results. Based on early experience, 5 to 8% of new hire records match an existing child support case, and with 60 million new hire records expected annually, that makes new hire reporting a very important tool. The early information shows substantially increased wage withholding and collections as a result of these matches. To take just one example, Connecticut increased child support collections by over $3 million in just 3 months of operation. Nationally, new hire reporting is expected to bring $6 billion additional dollars to families over the next 10 years. When a new hire directory was first proposed by the administration in 1994, it was an unprecedented and mind-boggling idea that we could build and maintain a national directory of new hires with hundreds of millions of records for millions of employers in all 50 states. In August '96, Congress asked us to accomplish that unprecedented task in just 1 year, by October of '97. We knew we would never get that done with business as usual, so from the beginning, we took a dramatically new approach. We pushed new boundaries in stakeholder involvement, educating and enlisting the support not just of state child support agencies, but of all the entities affected by the program, including particularly an estimated 6.4 million private employers. We learned from states and employers what they needed from us to make new hire reporting succeed. We adjusted the design to give it to them, and we provided them with early comprehensive technical assistance so they could do their part in successful on-time implementation. We developed a pioneering interagency agreement with the Social Security Administration to use their computer data center, telecommunications network, and expertise, and we eliminated the traditional bureaucratic hierarchy, bringing federal and state staff from multiple agencies and contractors from several companies together in teams to get the job done. These approaches can be replicated by any federal or state agency seeking to implement dramatic policy reform and technological innovation under tight timelines. We are proud that we overcame the technical challenges, of implementing a huge national database in an extremely short time. We're proud that we dramatically improved communication with critical state and federal partners, and that we forged lasting relationships with private industry. But most of all, we are proud of our contribution to Sonia's children and to America's children. It is our belief that this program represents public service at its best.
Thank you. Mayor Hatcher.
First of all, can you tell me who has access to this data?
That's a very important question. The privacy and security and access questions have been central to our thinking. The context we think about them in, and then let me tell you the particulars of it, is that the old system wasn't working. Sonia was not the only mother who was going for years and years with no child support. A third of child support cases are interstate, and we had no way to find those children. So that's sort of our context for the importance of it. The way we've thought about the access and privacy issues, Congress very much restricted both who has access and what purpose. There's one access point in each state, just the state child support agency. Secure lines from the Social Security Administration, you can't get into it from the internet. Physical security we've paid a lot of attention to, both at SSA and in our own Office of Child Support Enforcement. And Congress in the law specified a very limited number of other agencies and other purposes that were allowable for very narrowly defined research and anti-fraud purposes. So it's a serious question to which both the Congress and we have devoted a lot of attention.
Are the other agencies, any of the other agencies involved in intelligence?
No, I think my memory of the list, Social Security Administration has that. They're maintaining the database, and Congress also wrote in some particular access for them. There are some research purposes. We can use the data for research purposes without not having the people identifiers for purposes related to child support. We'll be using it for that research and welfare. IRS for, again, very particular purposes around the earned income tax credit. So Congress wrote in particular matching purposes and access.
Ben Weber.
You stated in the written application that one of the greatest problems still facing the program is noncompliance by employers. Can you talk a little bit about that and address who those employers are and how you intend to reach them while being sensitive to a concern that people might have about particularly smaller employers who already feel that they're beleaguered by the government and don't want to be harassed by any more reporting requirements on anything?
This is one, I mean, the work we've done with employers in some ways is the single thing that most persuaded me when I talked about this innovation with the most staff directly involved in managing the program. The creativity of the work they've done with employers, I think, is the single most exciting thing about this program. From the beginning, employers were involved actually early on in the congressional deliberation. So for big employers, an important element of what makes this a success and an innovation is that they didn't want to have to deal with multiple state requirements, and the law allows them to pick a particular state to report in. Small employers, you're absolutely right. One of the things we paid early attention to was including small employers and their representatives and figuring out what they needed. One of the things we learned was that many small employers use a payroll service. So from the beginning, we got the professional associations of the payroll services companies involved and figured out what they needed from us that we could respond to. So we're doing a lot of things that make their lives easier. We are, for example, this is actually a very small burden for most companies in that it's information they're already collecting on the W-4. They're just getting it over more quickly than they otherwise would. And so there's a lot of things you can do that are a plus for them that offset that. For example, it's a big headache for companies to deal with Social Security numbers that don't match a name. And in the past, they've sort of had that whole mess around tax time or whenever they get information back from that. So we're working on how we can clean those up much more quickly. We've simplified the wage withholding form. That is, companies, if you find someone who, like Sonia's husband, owes child support and you're doing wage withholding to pay for it, companies used to have to deal with a million different forms from different jurisdictions, and we've simplified that. We are planning in the future to be looking at actual compliance rates in more detail so we can get back to the states and do TA and outreach with them for any situations that still aren't working. But we've really focused on that from the beginning.
Bill Klinger.
Compliance issue, but do you have a sense of how comprehensive the program is at the present time, and how successful you're being on a national basis?
Well, we have some numbers and we're doing more. I mean, we've sent back more than 1 million, I think it's 1.1 million matches to the states from this first period of reporting. The numbers we're getting from the states suggest 5 to 8% of the new hires give you matches that find people who owe child support. Our national estimate, which is based on selected state information, is about $6 billion in additional collections over 10 years. We're right now working on a more systematic analysis of increases in all 50 states that are particularly linked to this. But it's looking, I mean, it's a phenomenal, for me, the biggest thing here is that for child support to work for families, to work for mothers and custodial parents, it has to be regular. You can't have the situation where you're getting a check and then it disappears when someone moves and it's not there. And so what this does is solve a very large chunk of the child support problem that's about the fact that Americans move all the time, change jobs all the time, and that now you can't hide, and also the system just doesn't lose you.
Okay.